We have a lot of these new age movement demons, right? Who think that movement is the only thing that they need and the only caliber of a good player, right? Which is very far from true. I came from Black Ops 2 necessarily when there was no movement mechanics. The only movement mechanic you truly had was what, like a dolphin dive? So you had to rely on your ability to use cover, like what I did right there. You learned how to peek different things. You learned how to be aggressive. You learned the importance of centering. You know, there's just different things in the game combined together is what made a good player. But in today's generation, which I blame Call of Duty for more than I blame the players, they've made it to where movement can completely overpower any other aspect in Call of Duty. What do I mean by this, right? If you run into somebody who has better positioning than you, overall better aim and everything, but you know how to do a really good movement like what I'm doing right here, you can outplay this kid, right? See, this is just me purely using movement to get close to him and then killing him. I just exhibited right there in the gameplay. Movement can completely overpower so much stuff in this game that it shouldn't even be fair. He had better positioning than me. He had a clear sight on me. But the fact that I had movement and I was able to get from one place to another, utilize cover, is what allowed me to win that gunfight. I could have sworn there was another one. Also play things like CSGO too. And when you play games like CSGO, where there's actually no movement, you really then realize the importance of, you know, am I holding the right angle? Am I over peeking this? Am I doing this? You know, like it really makes you somewhat conscious of how you're playing, as you should, right? I feel like now you can somewhat play Call of Duty and not even think. You're just running around the map, doing what you want, right? If you see somebody, you see somebody, and then at that point, you just try to kill them, right? It kind of took the strategy out of Call of Duty. And I don't know if that's why a lot of people stopped playing. I know especially with a lot of PC gamers, they started doing things like Battlefield. They went back to CSGO, even Warzone. If you really think about it, Warzone requires more strategy than a lot of these multiplayer games in particular, because yo, if you have good movement, you're just flying around the map, just shitting on things, right? You're breaking cameras. You're just abusing the mechanics. Oh no, imagine if that no scope hit. Like how many people actually look at the mini map, right? While I play the game, I say a good 60% of the match, my eyes is looking at that top right corner, right? And that's solely to figure out where people are at, so I don't have to just cluelessly run across the map, right? I'm trying to, oh, get down, I mantled. Things like that, unnecessary movement. They've made this game so movement factor and just so movement heavy that everything else about this game is somewhat irrelevant. Like, yeah, you have to have good aim to do what I just did right there. I'm sniping, right? That's because I practice my aim. These new generation of COD players, they don't know nothing about having to go on aim labs and sit there and hit a dot on their screen for 2 hours because they're going in public match lobbies and getting dogged. They don't know that experience, right? They just go straight into Call of Duty and they just start playing. If they get it, they get it, right? I know a couple Fortnite players who actually, you know, benefit from that, because even with Fortnite, you can't just get yourself out of a sticky jam. I feel like Call of Duty's movement is equivalent to Fortnite's building mechanics, right? When you're in a sticky situation, put up a wall. That's exactly what people are doing in Call of Duty, which isn't realistic at all, right? Fortnite is kind of based on a cartoon. So that type of mechanic in that game is supposed to be okay. This is supposed to be based off of real life, you know, a war game, in other words, a war simulation. In no war is somebody running around the map with cracked movement. It's just not, that's not how it works. Call of Duty had it right when they first came out with the game, and there wasn't any movement besides the basic things that you may actually see somebody do in real life, aka a dolphin dive, a slide, something like that, right? Even this little slide cancel, this is cracked. There's usually a kid back here. That's why I started pre-aiming that. And you know, and it's actually kind of scary going against people with good movement, right? Because you know Call of Duty is going to grant them with some crazy shit, right? Next thing you know, they're going to be behind you. Your camera's going to be broke. Something out of the normal is about to happen. As soon as you know you're going against somebody with good movement, and it forces you to play different, right? And I'm not going to sit here and say that it's just the most overpowered thing in the game ever and you can't kill them, because crazy enough, I run across a lot of people who think they're movement demons and I dog them. You see, I've run across so many movement demons who think they're just running circles around me, but I still end up killing them just off the fact that they're not actually doing anything. See, having good movement means nothing if you can't hit a shot. Having good movement means nothing if you can't somewhat predict where they're going to be at, so your crosshair's ready. Man, free-for-all back in the day was literally where you went to get good at the game. I wonder what type of lobby I'm in. Free-for-all sniping lobbies used to be literally the sweat fest. It wasn't S&D. I promise it wasn't S&D, you guys. Call of Duty has made this kind of the ideal game for people with low attention spans and somewhat like an ADHD type of thing. Look at people like Pomage or even Jev, right? Some of the OG COD players. You'll see that they don't have this insane movement. Their movement's kind of mid, but their game sense is through the roof, so they can compete. Oh, I didn't hit that? I mantled. Like I said, unnecessary movements. Yeah, Call of Duty is an amazing game, right? I just noticed that there is a whole big dilemma going on about that. Now, if you can have good movement, good positioning, good centering, and everything at the same time, then you're just an elite player.